Oh, sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm a little bit late there. Just finishing up. Hello and welcome to the United States. That was a joke. It was a joke. It was probably a bad joke. It was a joke. Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I got embarrassed myself. Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Hope you're doing really well this evening. Lots to talk about. There's a bit of breaking news in relation to Yuri Tielemans. And also a little bit about Ten Hag himself, disciplinarian, and a few other bits as well. All I want to say is that please do check out the interview that Adam did with Melissa Reddy earlier on. I've left the link in the chat. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But before we get into this Tielemans story, I don't know whether it actually caught the start of the stream there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But we're sponsored by Manscaped. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. It is the summertime. It's been very hot recently. That's very loud. It's been very hot recently. And if you want to look fresh and feel lighter and bigger and all that jazz, you can do that with Manscaped. They're giving you 20% off and free worldwide shipping. There's not much more I can say about Manscaped that I haven't said before. They're fantastic products. You've got the Weed Whacker, which sorts your nose out, which I haven't done for a while actually. You can even do your ears if you want to. Just give it a clean. I haven't got hairy ears, but if you did, you could. And then you've got the Lawnmower 4.0, which comes part of the performance package, where you can get things like the Crop Reviver, performance boxer shorts, a travel bag, a Crop Preserver ball deodorant, and all that jazz. The Weed Whacker comes with it as well. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. I mean, I think I suppose the biggest thing I would say about Manscaped products personally, because I use them a lot, sometimes before a stream, as I was just using there. They're really good products. Like, you can feel the weight in it. You know, they're not lightweight. They're not, you know, cheap or anything like that. They're good products, and 20% off, free worldwide shipping. I can't say much more. Give them a try, and you'll never look back. They really are good products, as I said, and 20% off plus free worldwide shipping when you use the code United Stand. Also, you can scan the QR code with your camera as well. But no, they're fantastic. And in these hot sunny days, it really helps to trim the grass and make the yard look bigger and cooler. That's what it's all about. So check it out. Right, let's get on with the show. I'm just going to start off talking about Yuri Tielemans, but I'd lost my live chat there. Welcome to the Members Club, Joel Young. Hope you're all doing very well. And Manscaped Bridge says Pranav, very original there. Don't use your strimmer, Simon. You'll be strimming more than your hair off. Bloody hell! It make that make. I don't. That's not what I want to read. Using your strimmer down there. Bloody hell! It makes you want to throw up. But let's get on with the show. That doesn't want to make me throw up. I want to get straight into this. And you may have seen this a little bit earlier, but this is coming in from Ben Jacobs, who I speak to Talk Sport on quite a bit. Bit more of a Chelsea expert, to be fair, but he's basically come out and said that Manchester United are. Where is it? Manchester United's interest in Tielemans is genuine and growing. He's a cheaper and less complicated alternative to Frank de Jong. There had been inquiries with Tielemans as far back as January when Rangnick was in charge, and Tielemans had expressed that he didn't really fancy a move to Manchester United, but that may well have changed now that Erik Ten Hag is in charge. Enjoy, says Rahil. The latest on Yuri Tielemans is that he has got 1 year left on his deal, and he would ideally like to leave Leicester. Now, I think he captained Leicester in a pre-season friendly tonight, but he does want to leave. He won't be signing a new contract. He's not bothered if he has to run the contract down because it's beneficial for players to do that, but he would like to be moving on this summer. Now, I will say this right here, right now, before we delve into whether we should be looking at him as an alternative or an addition to Frankie de Jong, but Arsenal are the favourites to get him. I've been on about this for ages on That's Football. I've been told this for ages. Arsenal, Tielemans, watch this space. Now, Arsenal, I don't know whether it's Arsenal just holding back to try and get a cheaper deal later into the transfer window, because Leicester, let's be honest, I mean, Man United would probably go and ask for Tielemans, and he's got 1 year left on his contract, and United would probably pay 100 million. Like, you just never know with us and Leicester. But I think Arsenal are trying to get him at a reasonable price, which would probably be around 35 million, but with a year left on his contract, I think a 30 million deal would be good. The Damage Slider, thank you very much for becoming a member. So what would your thoughts be on Yuri Tielemans? Let's just delve into that for a moment, because I've heard, I look and the great thing I love about social media in general is that you read people going, oh, Goldbridge doesn't want to listen to other opinions, it's just always about his. If you knew the amount of opinions I read throughout the day, the hours I waste reading stuff all over the place on opinion, because I think that's the best way to learn. I've always been like this from a young lad. You know, I'd read forums, read magazines. That's just what I am. I just love reading and taking in other people's opinions, and then it stimulates my mind to think about things. And then, you know, so I was reading quite a lot on social media earlier about Tielemans, and quite a range of stuff, really. Some people were saying, yeah, I'd go and get him as an alternative to De Jong and just not bother with De Jong. Some people were saying I'd like to see him and De Jong because it'd bring some depth and quality to our midfield. And then some people were saying, God, I hope he goes to Arsenal. He's no better than Fred. Well, look, my honest stance on this, and there's no disrespect to Ben Jacobs on this, I don't think we're in for Tielemans. I don't. I think you listen to that interview with Melissa Reddy today. It's a brilliant interview. You listen to the one with James Ducker yesterday. Brilliant interview. You listen to some of the comments from other journalists who've spoken to Ten Hag. And there really is a feel that if he can't get Frankie de Jong, he'll try and predict, coach somebody that he's got to do that job. So I don't think that Tielemans is an alternative to de Jong. I think he should be, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But what I would say about de Jong is there's absolutely no way I think Fred's better. I mean, I think that is a bit of a stretch. Like, I like Fred individually. I think he's okay. McTominay, I mean, I just wish he'd show us something, but there's no way that individually I think that Fred's better than Tielemans, and I certainly don't think McTominay is. And look, I think Tielemans had a bad season last year, but I don't think he's a bad player, and I would welcome him at Manchester United for 30 million because I think he's better than Fred and McTominay, and it would give us some quality depth in the midfield. I would personally like to get Tielemans and Frankie de Jong. That's where I sit on this. Cheers from California, mate. You're my favourite YouTuber. I bought the Manscaped trimmer for my friend Ben. I'm not going to say his second name, Dover. We need de Jong and Tielemans, if we're being honest. McFred ain't it, says Ethan Johnson. I would agree with that. Welcome to the Members Club, Matty Cooper. Yeah, I would agree. I would go for both. And Paul Rick, welcome to the Members Club. Tielemans is ours. Piers Morgan trying to persuade Ronaldo to join us. He likes London. Well, Zane, I actually agree with you for once. I do think that Tielemans is yours if you want to do that deal. The Chosen 17 says, is there any way we sign Yuri and de Jong? Maybe add Aaron Wan-Bissaka with the Euro deal, make it more desirable for Leicester, says the Chosen one. Sangari and Tielemans for same price as de Jong when our midfield is as bad as it is has to be the option, although I think de Jong is a better player, says Luke. And hi Mark, I would love Yuri and Frankie. Any chance of a head-to-head with Yuri against McFred, says Dazbek. Well, we could do that. We'll do that for the members. That's a good idea, actually. Look, I don't massively believe this story. The only thing I would say about this story is I wonder if it's United starting to plant the seed that we're not going to get de Jong. I mean, look, I remain 90%. Nobody of credibility has contacted me, or I've not spoken to them, and they've said, you might want to drop your 90% down. Everybody I speak to is like, and it's one of the first things I always say, might be talking about something else, but I'll say, I'll just go, the de Jong thing's very frustrating. Nobody comes in and says, yeah, Chelsea's going to get him or he's going to stay at Barcelona. So I'm not thinking that United are pulling out of this deal yet, but I wonder if it could be the start of that. I wonder if United are aware that de Jong's not coming and they're now going to try and play down the path which some of you have suggested, where we should walk away from the deal and go for Tielemans. I mean, look, Frankie de Jong to Tielemans, it's like a steak dinner to beans on toast. It's not the same. If this plan is plan B to Frankie de Jong, it's proof how lost this club still is, says Give It to Mikey. What I would say about Tielemans is, if we did buy him, I could see him being on the bench and McTominay and Fred still starting. I could see Tielemans being a bit like Van der Beek under Ollie, where you think they're going to play and then they don't. If de Jong comes in, he's going to start and he's going to break McFred up. And I think that's one reason to pray to God that it's going to happen. Love from Canada, keep it up, says Nathan. And Ajith, welcome to the Members Club. But you know what one of the things that came into my mind, and I thought I'll keep this back for the show. If I was United, and look, Barcelona aren't watching, don't worry, they're too bloody busy trying to buy Koundé, so there's no Barcelona executives watching. You know what I would do? And I do this sort of stuff all the time anyway, whether it's with the wife, whether it's with the mother-in-law, whether it's with mates, whether it's in business. I don't just sit and wait. I try and manipulate. And I think United need to try and manipulate. We are sat there holding on to our own bloody, what, like a prat. Like, we are literally in no man's land. We've been to Barcelona, didn't even get a suntan. It was in and out nice and quick for Murta and Arnold. We agreed a fee with Barcelona. We've pissed off back to Manchester. We're sending him a WhatsApp every day saying anything going on, and they're like, I'm not even replying to that. We're trying to sort Koundé. De Jong's having the time of his life in the US tour, just hoping that the season will start and the transfer. I mean, I bet Frankie de Jong's got a calendar in his hotel room where every day, you know, like when you was a kid, I used to do this, like from September, I'd be crossing the days off for Christmas if I had a good present to look forward to. I didn't always get it anyway. And across the days off, I reckon Frankie de Jong's there in America, crossing off the days to August the 31st. Just, can I get there? And then if I get there, I'm staying at Barcelona. So you've got Frankie doing that, crossing off his calendar. You've got Barcelona too busy looking at players they can buy with no money. And then you've got United who've agreed a deal with a club and are sat there going, when are we going to get him? They've not replied again, John. John, they're not replying to me. What should we do? Should we get a flight to Barcelona? They're not there. They're in America, Richard. Like, it really is a little bit like that for United. We are literally acting like, and I hate to say it, a bitch. You know, we're sat there going, what's going on? Even though we've agreed a fee. So I wouldn't like that. I'd get really frustrated with that. You know, you speak to like Draughty or Ryan or Adam or anyone like that, I'd get really frustrated with this. I'd be like, what's going on? Why haven't we heard anything? So what I would do is I'd put a bid in for Tielemans and I'd let the whole fucking world know. I would. I'd put a bid in for Tielemans. I'd go 30 million. United. I'd ring up like Laurie Whitwell or Samuel Luckhurst and I'd say yes. They'll be stunned. We're normally asking you for info. Well, I've got some bloody info for you, Samuel. £30 million bid going into Leicester right now. I'll send you a copy of the WhatsApp. I'd do it. I'd put a bid in and I'd say, let bloody Barcelona know as well. Let that Laporta know. Or Laporte or whatever he's called. Let him know I've just put a bid in for Tielemans. And let him know we've only got £70 million left in our budget. And if they accept it, I can't afford fucking Frankie. So tell him. I'd do it. And you know what? Sod Leicester and Tielemans. They screwed us over with Maguire anyway. Barcelona will suddenly get twitchy if they really want to sell. And they'll go, Frankie, fucking get to Man United quick. They're about to spend all their money. And then when I've got Frankie, I'll say sod off Leicester. But Man United won't do that. We're too professional. But I would do that. I'd use this situation to manipulate. Because at the moment, Barcelona would probably go, yeah, you're not really in for Tielemans. It's just a paper story. I'd bloody let Leicester know we've put I'd let fucking Barcelona know. I would. Like, why can't we play like Barcelona are playing this transfer window like a boss. Barcelona, they're taking the piss, mate. You've got Bayern Munich's manager literally saying they're taking the piss. I mean, Melissa Reddy was on about it on the interview on the United Stand. She says Bayern Munich are well pissed off with Barcelona on how they've got Lewandowski. Nagelsmann was on about it last night. Chelsea and Arsenal have been handed it on a plate with Rafinha. Chelsea think they've got Koundé. Don't put it past Barcelona to go and get that deal. They think they're going to get Bernardo Silva as well. They are owning this transfer window in debt. And what are United doing? Oh, you know, they're busy. They're busy, Richard. Don't worry. They'll come back to us at some point. Like, why can't we be like that? Why can't we get a bit aggressive? Manipulate the situation. It's like a game of chess. But that's what I would do with the Yuri Tielemans interest anyway. Mark, I'm going to the Man City game today. Sad it's not Manchester United, but hope to get to see Haaland in action for the first time. Hope he flops, says Robel. I'm not even thinking of Man City, if I'm honest with you. We're nowhere near that. What's happening with James Garner, says Seven. Why don't we keep Sancho right wing? That's where he played for Dortmund. There was a baller there, says Seven. He actually played off the left wing a lot for Dortmund. But, you know, I'm either or. I'm not bothered. Garner's been injured. Tielemans won't work without De Jong, in my opinion, and surely De Jong and Manchester United know the plan. Otherwise, why would they stop the chase? Says Joel Young. Mate, I just want to clarify something here. I can sit here and say I'm 90% sure we're going to get Frankie De Jong. And I can say that, and I still am. But let's not pretend it's ideal. Let's not pretend it's part of the plan. I will argue with that. There'll be people in the chat arguing with me now going, well, you're a knobhead. What are you on about 90%? You're an idiot and all that. And I get that, but I am 90% sure. I really am confident that we'll get De Jong. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's part of the plan. I mean, this is not a good plan. We are playing Brighton in 2 weeks, 2 and a bit weeks. It's not part of the plan to have your star player not even here. So, look, this has not gone the way it should have done. I do think we'll get him in the end, but it's not gone the way it should have done. Hi, Mark. Can't do another season with McFriend. They like South Africa's power utility lights on and off, says Grants. 180 million. I'll tell you what, I'd love United to do a tour of South Africa. They did it years ago. I would love them to do it. Big shout out to Thailand and Australia. You know, you've had 2 in a row now, and I'm sure it'll be America next year. But I'd love them to do South Africa. 180 million for De Jong, Anthony and Yuri. If Bissaka, Jones, Williams, Telles offloaded, could this work with the remaining budget you're aware of, says Kevin. I don't know what the budget is, mate. Nobody knows what the budget is. I think over the next few weeks, we'll start to talk about it a lot more because we'll start to see players leaving. We almost won the Premier League in 2021. No, we didn't. Sharon, get off the wine. What are you talking about? Or the beer? What? Or you've just been in the sun. We didn't win the... What? What are you on about, Sharon? We almost won the Premier League in 2021 and we're even above Liverpool. We were in second place, but what do you think happened last season? Sharon! What's the matter with you, Sharon? What are you on about? We almost won the league in Premier League in 2021. Have I missed something? Goes to Google. Premier League. 20... What year was last year? 2021, wouldn't it? 2021. Sharon, you've got me thinking now. You've got me really thinking here. We almost won the Premier League in 2021. Okay, let's have a look. The race for first place. What? Where is the league table? I need to see it. I can't find the bloody league table. Where is it? Here it is. Man United, second place. Oh, Sharon, we were 12 points off the top. We didn't almost win it at all. 12 points. We didn't nearly win it, Sharon. We didn't nearly win it. Mark, time you plan a tour to South Africa. Comments are blowing up here, says Grant. What do you mean comments are blowing up here? What do you mean? I would love to come to South Africa. I'd love to come to South Africa. I've got to go to Australia. Apparently they're building a statue. They want me to be Prime Minister. I've never been to Australia, but I can make Australians boo. I think I'm going to start the Goldbridge Magic Show where you can live on the other side of the world, but you can make a stadium boo when you don't want them to in a different continent on the other side of the world. I've got some power over Australians, apparently. So, Goldbridge is going to take over the world. I've got to apologise as well. Apparently I made people boo in Australia yesterday. It was my fault that Australians booed about Harry Maguire yesterday, even though I don't agree with booing and I didn't ask people to do it. Apparently it was my fault. I've also got to apologise for the heatwave in the UK yesterday. That's probably my fault as well. And while we're at it, it was probably my fault that COVID started as well. Even though it started in China and I've never been, that's probably my fault as well. Just come up with a list. It's probably my fault. It's got nothing to do with me and I won't agree with it, but it will be my fault. Anyway, back on the show. What were we talking about? We were doing some super chats, weren't we? Mark, Raheel says, Tielemans would be a welcomed addition. We need more options and Fred and McTominay just aren't good enough. If options will make us stronger. I agree, Raheel. I mean, yeah, look, let's move on from Tielemans, but I don't want him as a replacement for Frankie de Jong. I mean, I really do think Frankie de Jong's a Ferrari and Tielemans is a Vauxhall Astra. There's a big difference. But I think McFred are a Robin Reliant with no wheels. So a Vauxhall Astra beats that. And I think that's a good analogy, actually. I think de Jong is a Ferrari. He's one of the best midfielders in Europe. I think Tielemans is probably a Mercedes. He probably is a Mercedes. And then McFred as a pair are a bit like a wheelbarrow with no wheel. So I would say that Tielemans is better than McFred. But individually, I think Tielemans and Fred wouldn't work because they're both quite small, to be fair. But I would like to buy Frankie de Jong and Tielemans. And then if you've got a midfield that's de Jong, Tielemans, Fred and McTominay, I think you're ready for a 60-season game. And I've got to be honest here. I nearly went into Jamie Carragher there. I've got to be honest here. You know what, Scabby? I've got to be honest here. I do think that if you had a midfield of Frankie de Jong and Yuri Tielemans and Scott McTominay and Fred, I'd be happy with that. Because you know what? McTominay is a fourth choice midfielder and Fred is a third choice midfielder. That's probably what they are. That's probably their level if you're trying to get top four. They probably both start for Bournemouth. Fred probably starts for Everton, to be fair. He probably starts for Villa. I mean, Villa fans will be going mad saying we don't want him. But I do think Fred can start for a team that's in as high as probably fifth. I think Fred's a starter for a team that's finishing fifth. Somewhere between 5th and 12th. I think that's where Fred is in the Premier League. I think McTominay's somewhere between sort of lower than that. I think Frankie de Jong plays in a midfield that wins the league, and I think Tielemans is just slightly above Fred. I think he can play in a team that gets in the top 4. And that's, as a midfield 4, that's good. I've never said sell McTominay and Fred. I think they should be 3rd and 4th choice. I think we need 2 midfielders better than them. That's why we need de Jong. Desperately do need de Jong. So let's move on anyway. It's your fault that the Glazers own the club. It is, Christian. It is. I have to take the blame for this one as well. Off-topic question, but if England's women's make it to the Euros final, would you do a watch-along on That's Football, says Leaf? Would you want me to? Up to you, mate. Up to you. It's completely up to you. You've got the power. Little bit of an update from Bruno. Bruno did an interview today. I don't really want to talk about it because it was a bit all over the place. He spoke like he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, actually, because he was asked about the passing and everything, and he was like, well, I do what I do, and this is what I do. I couldn't really make head and a tail of it, but I thought this was quite interesting. Speaking about Ronaldo, he said, the only thing I asked Ronaldo when he didn't turn up was if everything was okay with the family. He told me what was going on. That's it and nothing more. So I think there is something going on with Ronaldo's family, quite clear. This is a bit from Andy Mitten. He says that Erik ten Hag wants Frankie de Jong because he sees him as one of the most complete midfielders around, better than anything Man United currently have, and someone who can impose his philosophy. He's prepared to be patient. Erik ten Hag knows there's no one better at building attacks from deep than Frankie de Jong, an attribute that is key to his vision for Manchester United. Also, Eric's strictness on issues like timing and dress is already earning the respect of the Manchester United squad. And also from Andy Mitten as well, it's outrageous what Barcelona are doing. It's morally wrong. He's already taken a pay cut and deferred his wages. They're trying to guilt trip a player into going. It is not Frankie de Jong's issue that Barcelona were so badly run. Now, this is repetition in a certain sense, but I also think repetition serves a purpose to, clarify the position again and remind the mind. Remember, I said a few weeks ago I'm quite sympathetic of Frankie de Jong's position, and I am sympathetic of Frankie de Jong's position because I think this is absolutely spot on, and we've spoken about this for a few weeks. It's outrageous what Barcelona are doing to Frankie de Jong. Forget whether he's going to join United or Chelsea or whatever. It is outrageous. He's already taken a pay cut and deferred his wages to help the club out. They're now trying to kick him out of the club without paying him that money, whilst giving Lewandowski money, whilst giving Rafinha money. It's bloody ridiculous. What would you feel if you imagine you've been working in your dream job, yeah? So you work for me. You can work for me. It's always my fault anyway. So imagine your dream job is to work for the United Stand, yeah? And through COVID, I ring you up and I say, you know what? I need you to take a pay cut because we're not doing well through COVID. You've just why are you walking around why are you driving around in a Ferrari? You didn't have that last week. Shut up! I'm borrowing it from somebody. You're just about to go on holiday to Dubai for a month. Yeah, it's a business trip. Shut up! I need you to take a pay cut, right? I know it's your dream job. Take a pay cut, and after COVID, I'll pay you all back and give you a pay rise. So you do it, yeah. And then after COVID, I say to you say to me, can I have my deferred wages now and the pay rise? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to send you to work for Sky Sports. Slow Sports News. Yeah, I'm going to send you to work for them. You're not working for United Stand anymore. And I'm recruiting a load of other people and paying them full wages. It's not right, is it? It's immoral. You can go on Twitter and blame me and you'll get loads of retweets. But the reality is it's immoral. It's not fair. And it isn't fair. The way that Frankie de Jong has been treated, it is not fair. We may well benefit from that situation and we can give him a hug and we can give him the wages that he wants. But the way Barcelona have treated him is wrong. He's already had a pay cut. He's owed wages. They won't give it him back and they're buying other players. It's not right. Mark, don't you think we should just take the hit and pay the wages Frankie de Jong is owed? Leo, not if you want to buy any more players. That's the problem. We can't just chuck 15 million extra at Frankie de Jong because we won't get any other players. We need to sign de Jong as a starter and someone else for rotation, says Farley. I agree. Do you think Wayne Rooney would be the man to be the manager? I really think he would, says Sharon. Sharon, what's wrong with you tonight? I don't want Wayne Rooney as the manager. Hi, Mark. Tielemans is... I'm not... Why are you being a fat? Why are you being fattest? iCup. And I'm not reading the rest of your silly name either. And Farley, we've done that one as well. Thanks for the super chats that are coming. Keep them in if you want to have a read out. I think the final roll of the dice is to say 5 million euro flat fee, no add-ons, even though fee has agreed, but they have to give Frankie 17 million now, says Glenn. I want Frankie de Jong in ASAP. It's a big nay from me on Tielemans' deal, says Grant. Ten Hag must see de Jong as a crucial part to his plan. Not just crucial, Grant. Absolutely bloody essential. But look, we'll have to wait and see what happens with de Jong, as we've said many times before. Keep your questions coming in. More than happy to wander off because we've spoken about a lot of topical things. But one thing I did want to talk about tonight. I think it's very important that we all take a moment to appreciate and remember the brilliance of Erik ten Hag. What am I talking about? Well, look, you know what? I think he was taking on the most difficult job I've ever seen at Manchester United. I was a little bit young to remember Sir Alex Ferguson when he came in 86, to be honest. I wasn't that long out of nappies. I was only about 5. And he did a very good job. But I don't think Manchester United were in such a bad position as they are now. I genuinely think this is a worse position than Sir Alex Ferguson took on. All right, it was a lot bigger period of time since we'd won the league. You know, what was it, 18 years since we'd won the league when Sir Alex Ferguson took over? But they had won the FA Cup in 85. So this team's not won a trophy for 5 years. The dressing room's in disarray. People are on stupid money, you can't even sell them. And that season last year is one of the worst on United's history. Because it was downing of the tools, it was toxic, it was embarrassing, you're getting battered. I mean, look, it's bad enough getting battered by Liverpool at Old Trafford and Anfield, but you're getting battered by Watford, Brighton, Leicester. You know, it was an embarrassment. And it's a really hard job that Erik ten Hag took on. It was a ridiculously hard job that he took on. But in addition to that, you know, it was really hard when he took it on. He's then had a slow transfer window, a really slow transfer window, where he's had to go on pre-season with one signing. He's not ready for the start of the season in relation to new signings. He's not been supported in the way he thought he was. That's bad enough. He's also got Ronaldo, who he thought was going to be part of his plans, basically on strike, wanting to leave. So his job has got harder. It was ridiculously hard, and two things have made it even harder. Slow transfer window, no sales yet, not enough signings, and on top of that, Ronaldo basically trying to force himself out of the club, and all the problem that he had last year. So I think that Ten Hag's job was ridiculously hard when he came in, and it's been made much harder by the board and by the Ronaldo situation. And obviously pre-season, we've seen a massive step forward in the way that we play, the discipline. So I just think, you know, it is important to remember that Ten Hag's job has actually got harder, if that was possible, in 2 areas. And yet we've still seen progression. So imagine where we'd be if Ronaldo had come back happy and he hadn't had these issues that he's got. And imagine if the club had actually got the signings in for pre-season, how far ahead we'd be from now. And yet you've still got fans really positive about what we're achieving now. So, look, bit of a shout out for Ten Hag. I know there's all this talk about discipline and everything. I think that could bite him in the arse at some point. I was listening to the Manchester Evening News podcast the other day, and I'd mentioned this, that they're not actually that happy about the lack of a press conference ahead of the... Josh, welcome to the Members Club. I'm only guessing, says Sharon. Mark, I booed Maguire while sitting at my place. You did it. You are so influential. Thank you for all your content, says Manmeat. Hi, Mark. It's Nanny, isn't it? Says Rob. Well done. Yeah, I think that... I've completely forgotten my point now. This happens to me sometimes. I've completely forgotten my point. But, yeah, it really is a case of trying to remember your point and filling time. But, yeah, I know what I was going to say. The pre-season could have been so much better. And yet... I know what I was going to say. So I was listening to this podcast, and the media are not really happy because Ten Hag is shutting things down. He doesn't want to do press conferences. He's not done any after-match press conferences. He doesn't really want his players talking. We were very lucky to get Charlie Savage after the game against Palace because we got Donny as well and Iqbal the other game, but he's shutting all that down. He's shutting a lot of things down. He's being a disciplinarian. He's shutting it all down. He doesn't really want to talk to the media. When he does talk to the media, it's a very short answer. That'll be a novelty for a very short period of time. So I'm very protective of Ten Hag, and I'm sure many of you are, but it is a difficult scenario where everything has to be right, and I think he's doing a really good job early days, but how long can he keep this job going if he's not given the support from the players, but more importantly the board? And I think it's going to be very interesting, because the media will turn, and certain fans will turn. They will do if things start to go wrong, and those players will turn. Those players will turn like a bottle of milk in a hot sunny day. You know, they will. They'll go sour. And he needs the support. And that's the only thing that's worrying me a little bit about Ten Hag. I think he's had a great start. I think his intent is very, very visible. He wants to play good football. He wants a disciplined side. He's not really interested in the media side of the club, which is good to me, even though, potentially... Well, no, we're about fans. I'm not bothered about anything else. But he needs the support. Any chance for a Mason Greenwood return, says Seth. I mean, Seth, why do you even want to think about that? I mean, I'll be honest with you, Seth. I haven't thought about Mason Greenwood since the last time somebody mentioned it on a stream, which was probably 2 weeks ago. I just don't think about it. And I don't want to think about it, because it's such a serious issue. It needs to be dealt with by the specialists that are dealing with it, without us passing judgment. I'm not interested in Mason Greenwood. At the moment, he doesn't even register. I'm not interested. And there is no update. And I don't think about him coming back. And I don't think about him never playing again. I just don't think about it. Fans are so fickle. We've played 3 training matches, and now people want Martial over Ronaldo. If he don't get backed anymore come Christmas, he's under pressure, says Sean. Yeah, look, I think there's a lot. As I say, for me, Ten Hag is in the green zone. He's the positive of what's going on at the moment. The board are in the red zone. They're the negative. And... I'm very protective of Ten Hag, and I think when you're protective of people, whether it's your kids, your family, your friends, I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always thinking of danger and where things can go wrong. And I'm protective of Ten Hag as a manager because I wanted him. I was very passionate about getting Ten Hag. I was convinced they'd go for Pochettino. I really wanted this manager. So I'm protective of him, and I think a lot of our fans are protective of him. And in being protective of him, you sort of see the hazards coming. You sort of like... I think about Seb when he's on his scooter and I'm taking him to school, and I'm like, be careful of that, this, that and the other. And with Ten Hag, I can sort of see, like, you probably need to do a little bit more media work and play the game. I don't think Mourinho was a disciplinarian, but he played the media game. Ten Hag's got to play the media game at Man United. He probably doesn't want to, but I would tell him, you've got to play the game. If you don't play the game with the media, they'll come for you, because it's Manchester United. You can't shut the media out at Manchester United. Manchester United Football Club won't want him to shut the media out. It's all about brand perception. So he's got to play the game there. Whether he likes it or not, he's got to get used to that. You can't shut them out. He's also got to get the support. He's got to get the players in that he needs, because ultimately, if he doesn't get the players in he needs, he hasn't got the quality he needs. And if results go bad, that's when things... look at, like Sean just said there, we've won 3 pre-season games against quite weak opposition, if I'm being honest. But I've bought into it because I don't care about the opposition. I'm looking at the possession stats. Every pre-season watch-along, I've said, we've really focused in on the stats more than we've ever done. Because I'm like, this is what Ten Hag's about. He wants possession close to 70%. He wants loads more shots, loads more passes, and loads more accuracy. You can see that in the stats. And I can see that's changed from Solskjaer. So you're like, well, look, I can see there's a change. It's really intriguing. That's why I'm looking forward to the Villa game, because they're going to be our hardest game of pre-season so far. Hopefully they put a strong team out and we'll really see where we're at. So very excited about that. But 3 pre-season games have been won. If we don't win our first 3 games in the Premier League and we lose to Liverpool and we drop points against Brighton or Brentford, say we take 4 points from 9, that'll be a crisis. If we take 9 points from 9, we're winning the league. If we take 9 points from 9 and then we take 2 points from the next 9, it's a crisis. That's Man United. That's what it's like. So you've got to see the pitfalls coming. And, the pitfalls I see at the moment, I'm worried about October. I'm not worried about August. I think we'll beat Brentford and Brighton. And I think we might get a draw out of Liverpool. We might even beat them. I think we will have a good start. I think there's a momentum with United. But I think about October, when you get to a point in October and certain players realise they're not getting any game time and they want to leave. You get to October and you didn't strengthen the midfield and the attack, and you start to pick injuries up, and then you start to drop points. That's what I'm worried about. And you know what? It's a bit like going on a journey up Mount Everest, isn't it? At the bottom, you can go, I've got enough water, I've got enough clothes, I've got enough food, I'm fine. But you only realise halfway up that you haven't. And then you can't go, I'm just popping to Tesco to get some more water and food. You're halfway up a mountain and you're in the shit. And that's why the transfer window is so important. And I think that's why I and many others get really passionate about the transfer window and get on to the club to get things in. Because you really are packing your rucksack for the season. Halfway through the season, you can't really do anything about it. All right, there's the January transfer window, but you know what I mean. You hit November, you hit October, Champions League kicks in, not for us, Europa League, slip of the tongue. You're playing Premier League games very regularly. If that midfield is exposed, or that attack is exposed as not having enough players in it, it's the summer where you should have packed your bag better. And that's why these next few weeks are so important. Hi, Mark. What about Sharon and McTominay in the pivot, says Josh. I'd prefer Sharon and Fred. If we don't buy more players, I'm worried Eric Ten Hag's good work will unravel come the new year. Well, exactly what I've just said there, Runner. Exactly. That's my concern. I think Ten Hag's doing a great job. We need to support him. And I don't mean the fans. I think we are supporting him. I think the club. Great content, Mark. Thanks for always keeping us up to date. Says A24. Thank you very much. Honest opinion, Mark. Are we losing the legend that is Ronaldo? If so, I'm crashing Old Trafford again, says Carl. Good question. I don't always get asked these sort of questions because no one really asks a direct question. Do I think Ronaldo's staying at United? I'm 50-50. Listen to the interview with Melissa from Sky Sports. She's the chief Sky Sports football correspondent, I think, now. I was listening to the first 10 minutes where she was talking about De Jong, and then she started talking about Ronaldo, and I thought, I might switch off now. It was brilliant. What she spoke about Ronaldo, how unequivocally he's trying to get a move, how George Mendes is speaking to all these big clubs and saying the financial impact Ronaldo will have in those first few weeks is massive. It's really interesting what she had to say. There's no doubt, and I've always been quite consistent about this, there's no doubt that Ronaldo's trying to move. You have to accept that. There's also no doubt that De Jong doesn't want to leave Barcelona. For me, those things are very similar. Our biggest signing of the summer doesn't want to leave his club, and our best player of the last year doesn't want to be at the club. Very similar situation, but I would try and persuade them both. Because I think it's right that we should persuade them both. It's right that we should persuade Frankie de Jong, because why would he want to come and play in the Europa League for United? We were shite last year. And it's right that we've got to persuade Ronaldo, because why would he want to play in the Europa League with United? We were shite last year. So I've got no problem with them wanting to leave or not wanting to come. It's our job to persuade them. So I think we can persuade Ronaldo, but I also cannot get my head around, and I know people don't like me saying this, but Ronaldo and Maguire didn't get on with last year. Maguire didn't like Ronaldo much, and Ronaldo didn't like Maguire much in a footballing way. I think they felt they undermined each other in the dressing room. There was no clear leader. Well, that problem's still going to exist if Ronaldo stays. He's not going to come back and say, I didn't get my move wherever. Harry, tell me what to do. So I just can't see Ronaldo coming back into that dressing room. I just can't. But then I don't know where else he's going to go. So I want Ronaldo to stay. I want him to stay because he's so good and we need a player like that. There's not many teams in the world that could say we don't need Ronaldo, and we definitely do. But I don't know whether he's going to stay. I really don't. For the first time since Sir Alex, I'm confident of this board. Come the first day of the season, De Jong and Anthony will be United players and in the team, says Wayne. Wayne, if I was a betting person, I'd take that bet. I don't think we'll have those players in for the opening game of the season. I'd like to think that we would, but that's 2 weeks. You know, that's about 17 days away. I can't see us getting those two done. I mean, Lisandro Martinez isn't official yet. Apparently he was at Carrington today, but it's not official yet. We've not done the medical yet. Congratulations to my son Noah for making his club Premier team. Thanks Timothy Gillespie, and well done to Noah. Leandro Paredes. I like Paredes 3, but I think it's just paper talk from PSG. Sharon says we need to be playing better against our rivals as well, or else the rivalry is gone just guessing again. So Sharon, are you sure Sharon's not an anagram for Michael Owen? Because some of your comments tonight, they've got a Michael Owen theme. You said you would drop everyone who played in that Sheffield United game due to a bad performance when we played our second team, then lose, then what? It's a spit on me. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Hi, Mark. Can you do another Jamie Carragher impression? Saw that the other day and it was hilarious and spot on. Great talent as always. Juno, I don't do singing and I don't do impressions on demand because I find that I don't do them very well. They're much better when they're impromptu. The answer is Nanny. Yes, it is. It is. We need some flair. And sorry, somebody just said something I need to just check here while we're live. Always happy to do this stuff while we're live. It's not a problem. What do you think about the front three, Mark? Look, I've spoken about Martial, Rashford, and Sancho quite a bit, and I think it's interesting how they're doing, but I also feel that it's not enough. Even if you think that Martial, Rashford, and Sancho is the future, which I think is very risky, I also think it's not enough because you can't just get by with three forwards. And the best example here is think of Liverpool. Think of Firmino, Salah and Mane. If you were going into the season with Firmino, Salah and Mane, is it enough? Well, you want to play them as much as possible, but you can't play them for 60 games. You can't play them twice a week, 90 minutes. You've got to have three other options to rotate, rest, compete. And Martial, Rashford and Sancho, even if they were brilliant, they can't play every game. They can't play twice a week and they can't play 60 games. So who's the backup to those three players? Well, for Martial, it would be Rashford, who's on the left. So how does that work? For Rashford, it would be Elanga. And for Sancho, God knows. Like, we've got no backup for those front three. So as much as it's exciting, and look, I remember talking about this 2 years ago about how good Martial, Rashford and Sancho could be. We didn't buy Sancho that summer and Martial and Rashford's form fell off a cliff. So we need backup for those three players, and we haven't got it at the moment. And on top of that, I've got to be eyes wide open and say, as much as I like Rashford and as much as I like Martial, Martial's been out of form for 2 years. You can't trust 3 goals in 3 games in the pre-season. And Rashford's been out of form for a year. You can't trust pre-season. Like, we need to... The biggest problem United have with... And it's not just Rashford and Martial, it's Bruno, it's Maguire, it's everybody else. We all know they can have a world-class game or two, but we all know that they can't do it 5 or 6 games in a row, certainly not 10 games in a row. And if you want to compete with Chelsea and you want to compete with Spurs and you want to... I'm not even mentioning Man City and Liverpool. You've got to be consistent. You've got to go and do it game after game after game after game. And look, that's another positive of Ten Hag. I don't think he'll put up with 1 good game in 3. He needs 3 good games in 3. I remember when Sir Alex said that in the 89, he moaned to Sir Matt Busby about the papers coming after him, and Sir Matt said, don't read the papers then, says Glenn. Mark, at the end of the day, it's a game of 2 halves. You score, you win. We need to score more than the opposition, says Nick P. Can we please ban the Mason Greenwood word until he's clear, says Talal. And hi Mark, I think that Barcelona wants to solve the transfers even after thinking about players who need to be sold, says Vlox. The deal was not done in time for our pre-season De Jong. He has to say he wants to stay, otherwise he forfeits the owed wages, says Stephen Dormer. Well, I think we're in for an exciting few days, to be honest, because I really do think that, I mean, look, it's the first pre-season friendly I'm going to do a preview for. I'll probably do it tomorrow, actually, because that Villa team's good. I would expect United to beat Villa in the Premier League, but that will be a strong Villa team on Saturday morning. I don't think Melbourne Victory are that strong, with all respect. That Crystal Palace side, I don't know whether... Look, it's worth it. I put a tweet out this morning. The Crystal Palace side that played us yesterday, Crystal Palace also played a team against Gillingham. The team that played for Palace against Gillingham was probably stronger than the team that played against us in Australia. They've left so many first-team players behind. And Liverpool, well, that first game was just literally about running around, wasn't it? So I think pre-season competitiveness starts on Saturday, and I think that's really exciting. We then fly back from Perth, and early next week we're back in Carrington for a week ahead of the doubleheader at the following weekend. And next week, I think Ten Hag is back in Manchester. He's talking to Arnold and Murta, who've not been on the trip, and they're talking about where the signings are, Ronaldo, who's leaving. So I think the next few, and then obviously it's 2 weeks on Sunday that we're playing our first pre-season game. So I think things are about to get serious now on and off the pitch. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen. McTominay was our best player against Palace. He had 100% successful stats. It's an agenda. He's performed better than Scholes ever did based on stats. Okay, spit on me. Mark, deep in the season, if things get shaky and Eric Ten Hag benches certain players and those players start leaking stuff, I hope that cut situations dealt better compared to how it was dealt with last year, says Shovem. Mark, has Pogba left? Says Sharon. Yeah. Mark, do you think Malacia is already almost ready to start or in the team? Says Tib. Rashford goes from Ronaldo in pre-season to Javinho in the league, says Guitar. And welcome to the Members Club, Joseph. I mean, just going back to that point from Chauvin. I'd never thought of this before, and this is the great thing about reading other people's comments. Imagine the season starts and Ronaldo stays and he starts Martial. You've got an unhappy Ronaldo. Imagine the season starts and Maguire gets benched because he plays Varane and Martinez, which is what most of us would do. You've got an unhappy Maguire. Imagine the season starts and we do get De Jong and he plays Fred with De Jong and Bruno, and Donny gets upset. Like, these things are going to happen. You can't play the same... You know, you've got to have a best 11. Or what if Maguire starts and Varane gets upset? Or what if Ronaldo starts and Martial gets upset? Or what if we sign Anthony and he plays Sancho on the left and Anthony on the right and Rashford gets upset? All these things can happen. Now, do you trust Ronaldo, Maguire, Donny, Rashford, Bruno, whoever who gets dropped, not to become toxic again? No, I'm not saying they were the toxic players in the first place, but these are things that can happen, and these players still have connections with journalists. Like, to pretend, it's, as I said many times before, we must have our eyes open. We can't just be naive. The leaks coming out of that dressing room last season were horrendous from multiple sources. Of course, everyone goes and has a holiday. A new manager's here. It's a different way of playing. Everybody's happy. Everyone's getting game time. But when the season starts off, I think we play Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool. There's no midweek game. It's 3 games over 3 weeks. There's no midweek games. If you're not in the starting 11, you're not playing for a month. You might get a cameo off the bench, but you'll be out the team the next game probably. So the test is not really in pre-season. The test comes in September, October, when you realise you're not part of his plans and you probably want to be more than a bench player. And look, logically, there's going to be some big players that are going to be unhappy. That's another challenge for Ten Hag, because last season they fell apart. They couldn't deal with that. Are they suddenly going to change their mentality? Some people would say yes. Some people would say leopards can't change their spots. I would say I don't know. I don't know what the mentality of these players are going to be, but some of them are going to be unhappy. It's whether they can motivate themselves to get back into the team. Joseph, welcome to the Members Club. But a positive side to that, and I think it's worth discussing as well, is that under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he had favourites. Like, it was always McFred. It didn't matter what Donny did in training. It was always McFred. It was always Magaluf. It was never Eric Bailly. It didn't matter what Eric Bailly did. Like, there was favourites, and it was, he played Rashford when he was injured. He had favourites. If Ten Hag goes down that route, I think that'll end up in failure again. If Ten Hag is of the opinion you've had a bad game and bringing somebody else in, I think that is how you keep a squad happy. Now, if you look at Ten Hag at Ajax, he's very much like that. If somebody doesn't do what he wants, he'll sub them and bring somebody else on, and he'll drop them for the next game. The evidence is there of that. We've had 3 years under Solskjaer where he had favourites. I think Mourinho had favourites as well. So that might be the way to solve this, is that, look, I think someone like Eric Bailly is going to get sold. But imagine he did start the season with Maguire and Lisandro Martinez and he benched Varane. As ridiculous as that sounds to me, if Maguire was pretty average and he gave Varane a game and Varane played well, I think Maguire stays on the bench. So imagine he starts the season with Fred and De Jong, if we get De Jong, and Fred has a bad game and he brings Donny on and it works. I think Donny plays the next game. Whereas under Ollie, he would have gone back to Magaluf. He would have gone back to McFred. So I think that is my hope, is that we've got a manager now that's actually going to be fair and pick players on form and not favourites. And then that will lead the players to know that they're not wasting their time, where it doesn't matter what you do in training, doesn't matter if you're better than somebody, you're not a favourite. Hi Mark, what would it take to give this transfer window a 10 out of 10, says Gav. Fantastic question, Gav, not going to answer it. Rash, Mark, the Poch Brigade still lives on. If we fail to sign a midfielder because of Ten Hag pettiness, we're bound to fail this season. I don't think Eric Ten Hag will be under massive pressure in mid-October, says Khalid. I don't think life's all about predictions. Life's all about predictions, isn't it? I don't think if we don't buy De Jong, I don't think we'll get top 4. I'm a firm believer that games are won and lost in the midfield, and I don't think we can get top 4 with McFred. So I think De Jong's absolutely essential. De Jong was forced to play as a centre-back in the Miami friendly, so Barcelona are doing what they can to make him leave, says Poke. Eric Ten Hag won't allow this lot to be little brats. You've already seen the fear factor pre-season in player interviews, says Joe, and I hope it continues. Mark, if we go and get Tielemans, do you think we'll buy Anthony after? I really hope we get Anthony, Pablo. I think that's why the pre-season is important. You build up the trust that goes both ways. Exactly, Duran. I'm going to go back to that question because it was a brilliant one. What would make you give this transfer window 10 out of 10? Well, you can answer that as well. In fairness, I don't expect 10 out of 10. I think it's impossible to get 10 out of 10. And I'll be fair to the board. I never expected 10 out of 10. 8 or 9, I'd have been very happy with. So the transfer window I would have been happy with would have been, yeah, okay, Lisandro Martinez, Malasia's fine, Eriksen's fine, Anthony, De Jong, another midfielder, whether for me, I would have gone for someone like a Lema, but if it was Tielemans, I'd be happy with that. So 2 midfielders as well. So De Jong and another, Anthony, Lisandro Martinez, Malacia, Eriksen, and probably a right back as well. So 7 signings, I'd be very happy with that. I'd give that nearly a 9 out of 10. Obviously, Ronaldo stays. So I'd be 9 out of 10 for recruitment. Two full-backs, a centre-back, 2 midfielders, Eriksen and Anthony. Ronaldo stays. That'd be a 9 for me. And then, along with that, I'd want to see sales. I think that's still very important. Brandon Williams, Twan Sebi, Wan-Bissaka, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones. Obviously, Andres Pereira has gone. And a few others. So, yeah, that would be 9. I think 10 out of 10 is impossible. I think a 10 out of 10 is impossible because I'm then wanting probably a striker, which is, we haven't got £300 million to spend. So I'd be very happy with that. If Ronaldo is leaving, who would replace him, says Craven? That's the big question. And Maguire was ridiculous last season. He gave away far too many penalties and messed everything up. He's going for me, says Sharon. Sharon. Anyway, look, thanks everybody for watching. Remember Manscaped, it's 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Fantastic products. You can scan the QR code with your phone, which is next to me, or you can go through the link in the description and use the code UNITEDSTAND. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. These evening shows are really enjoyable at the moment. Really good conversation. Hope you're enjoying it as well. Please subscribe to the channel. I think we're only about 80 away from 393,000. We need to change that because we're on 392 at the moment. So please subscribe, bottom right hand corner. We're on the road to 400k, which is amazing. I don't think that Barcelona really rate De Jong. He was a better player with Ten Hag in Ajax, says Myron. So yes, please do subscribe. Thank you very much, Myron. Bottom right hand corner to do that. And the final thing I want to say is, please subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Check out Manscaped. You won't regret it. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. And I've pinned the chat, Melissa Reddy interview, or go through the home page. Even if you're going to do it a little bit later, or you want to do it now, you'll be transfixed by that interview. I couldn't stop watching it. I just sat there for 20 minutes and listened. I just found it very therapeutic and very interesting. So give it a listen. It's really good. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll see you on the morning show tomorrow, Thursday tomorrow. So what have we got tomorrow? We've got some good stuff coming up for you over the next couple of days, actually. Speak to you